Hey y'all! Welcome to Witty Banter!
I'm Monica.
And I'm Paola. And first of all, we want to thank all of you for joining us in this journey. We've already gotten a lot of good and wonderful feedback. Monica, you have an announcement to make.
Yeah, so with the first episode, like I said, like Paola said, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. A lot of our social media accounts on the reels, y'all are really, really liking it, really, really commenting. So thank you guys so much. And then thank you to Tejano Nation for giving us our first interview about the podcast. So thank you so much, DJ Romeo. We really, really appreciate it.
Shout out. Thank you so much. We do appreciate it. It was very beautifully written, and that just gives us más ganas para seguir dándole duro. Keep it going with the podcast. And if you remember, if you tuned in on our first episode, you'll remember that we have an interview process here, and today is that day. We have a very special guest today with us, and his name is
Alejandro Terra.
There we go.
Thank you. Well, welcome, Alejandro. Bienvenido a Witty Banter. I want to start off by thanking you for being here, first of all. And secondly, I want you to tell everybody how you got into the music world and where they can find you on social media.
So I got into the music world when I was very young. I was living in an apartment with my grandma in her house, right? So I would live between my mom's house and that apartment. And the next door neighbor was a drummer, so he would practice his drums pretty much every time, I mean, every time I was in my grandma's house, which would be like 3 days out of the week or something like that, I would just go and watch him, and I was very fascinated by music. And that started my journey. I first wanted to practice the drums, and then when I was around 10, that's when I picked up the guitar. Nice. From there on, it just went on.
Nice. And so where can they find you on social media?
Alrighty, so my name is Alejandro Terra, Terra. All right, and you can put Alejandro Terra Music for Instagram, or you can go on Spotify, YouTube, and that's just Alejandro Terra.
Excellent. So y'all heard the man. Make sure you go and follow all of his social media and listen to his songs. I know we have a special treat for everybody listening today.
Yeah, he didn't bring his guitar for nothing. This beautiful guitar here. Now I do want you to talk a little bit more about La Peña, because you have something very, very special with that. My dad and I actually got to watch the last one. Tell our audience a little bit more.
La Peña is basically a show that usually I try to do it every month. Not always works out that way because sometimes, works accumulate, so I want to prepare a better show. Sometimes I need a little bit longer than a month. But usually I try to do it every month, like pretty consistently. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing that for almost 2 years now here in the DFW area. And La Peña is an idea that comes from my country. I grew up in a town where we do songwriters peñas. And La Peña is basically a recurring event with a theme. That's the best way to describe it. So you can do La Peña, right? You can do La Peña of cumbia, and that is a theme night, and it has to be recurring and it has to be local, right? Like those are the rules. So La Peña is a concept that I brought from my country, and I basically what I wanted to do here was, instead of just doing it from songwriters, I wanted to do it with multiple disciplines: poetry, especially poetry, music, and dance, which are my main, let's put it, like the ones that I kind of like the most. But, everything is welcome, but mostly those 3 disciplines. So it's multidisciplinary, and at the same time it's multicultural, because I try to have artists from all different countries of Latin America. So right now we're a group of about, 7 or 8 artists from all different countries, right?
Yeah.
Colombia, Venezuela, Costa Rica, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and Spain.
Wow.
So those are 6, and then I have 2 that are from Texas. So.
Hey,
Exactly.
And so you keep saying a concept from your country. Can you tell us where you come from?
Yeah, I'm from Cuba.
There you go. I was like, say where you're from.
If y'all didn't notice, he went, Cuba. Emphasis.
I did.
Oh my gosh, so what brought you to DFW area?
Well, I traveled to Texas in 2020, and I really really like it here.
Okay.
So no, I lived in Miami for 10 years, and over there I was doing music, but I wasn't really doing a lot with it because it's a different game over there, and I wanted to do more like theater, it's kind of like what we're doing now here
Yeah.
at the Epic. Yeah, this is a long time manifested dream, which is something very beautiful. But I've always been, I enjoy most of the music that I enjoy is, even though I'm a musician and I do tropical music and Cuban music and all that, I really not a big dancer, even though I like it. So I've always been more like intellectual, always like books. I've always like, I come from jazz school as well, where you're sitting down and listening to 3 hours of people just, jamming, and you just sitting down there watching. I loved in my city, there was a lot of theater, like theater acting presentation, right? Like, and then when you read, like, for example, my favorite writers, Garcia Lorca, Agasa Fernanda Alba, and all this stuff. When you see interpretations of theaters, you see people acting for an hour and a half. It's a consistent show where you cannot really mess up, right? Let's say if you're filming a film, you can do a line and then cut and then put it back together. When you're editing a video, what I love is the performing.
Yeah.
It's the same. La Peña is an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's the same. We don't take a break. It's just one show, right? Because it's an entire show. There's a beginning, there's an ending, there's a logical progression to the show. It's not just random music, then I take a break and take another music, right?
Yeah.
That approach, I've done it here when I do other gigs, but that's not really what I grew up used to. I grew up to going into a place. If it is a theater, you sit down and you enjoy the music. And the cool thing about the Epic is you can dance because you don't have fixed chairs. You can move
Yeah.
around. So this theater is just perfect for
And
what I wanted to do.
I've seen some people dancing at I think there was a La Peña for reggae,
Yeah,
right?
for reggae.
There was some people getting down on that one, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, I fell in love with the way that you and your artists actually put together the music. And then this last one, tell them a little bit about this last one, because you had not only performers, not only singers, not only songwriters, you had people dancing too.
Yes, this was wow. This was a home run.
Yeah.
To put all these people together. It was a blessing because I basically known Guillermo, which was the main artist. I've known him for a year and a half, almost 2 years, since we literally started La Peña. He got in contact with me because it's hard for him to find guitarists that can play Spanish music, flamenco, right? Here, right? And he hit me up, and I'm like, dude, I cannot play flamenco, but I would love to do a show with you. And we started, practicing a couple of like the songs that maybe I can play that are not like Populerias or Alegría. They require a little bit more. I can do a rumba, something more pop, right?
Those palmas are hard, man.
Yes, those rhythms are difficult, and I don't feel confident because I haven't studied, right? It's not my style of music, but I love it. And so this was something that we had planned out, and when this opportunity came up, I was like, dude, I have to bring this guy. I've been wanting to do a flamenco show, so I already knew the drummer, and I talked to my friend from Puerto Rico, Vileniano, which is one of the artists of La Peña, and he told me, dude, you gotta get this guy, and then you gotta get Graciela. She's the dancer, and I met her in a gig or whatever, and I called Graciela, and then Guille called Isai from Austin. I was like, we're doing this. He came from Austin, the guitar player. I already knew the cajon player, right?
Yeah.
The drummer. And so I put them together, and then Guille told me, look, I have this other dancer, Joel Niño, right? So los bailarines, the dancers were Graciela and Joel Niño.
Wow.
Graciela is from Cuba, Joel Niño is from Venezuela, right? So everything came together, from one person or another. And we were able to put that show together. And it was kind of like a blend between popular music of Spain. Then we did kind of like, I wanted to do a poetry break, but the poet had an accident, couldn't make it. It was kind of like, but we had a poetry section prepared and everything to do a tribute to the poets. But anyways, we musicalized some of the musics of the poems in the flamenco section. And then right after we did that pop tribute to the popular songwriters of Spain, we went directly into the flamenco, right? To like the hardcore of the show. And it was completely incredible. I mean, these artists are just incredible professional artists. And it was such an honor to work with them and to have created this beautiful event.
Yeah, dude. What I'm hearing is that you are bringing a lot of people from our community together and bringing awareness to certain or different types of genres of music, especialmente our Latin roots. And so I thank you for that, because we definitely need to pour our arts, our culture out here so people are aware of the rhythms, of the sounds, of the movements of our people. And so I want to thank you for that. Your La Peña did not start at the Epic, correct? Can you talk about how this journey has come to be and where you started?
I started with Mark in Arlington on November of 2022. I'll never forget. I got here in August of 2022, and I just saw the potential, the immense potential. And I was, without an apartment for like 2 months, just trying to find a place. And the place that I found was Arlington. I had no idea about Arlington or that. I had no idea. To me it was to me it was all Dallas. Like in my head, it was like, I'm coming from Miami, I'm Cuban, I don't know nothing. I'm gonna go to Dallas, right? And I just ended up in Arlington. And my apartment is in the downtown, so a walking distance is the Levy Pavilion. And so I just went to the Levy Pavilion because I was like, dude, it's a humongous stage here in the city that I live. I just moved in.
Yeah, shout out to the Levy Pavilion, one of the greatest outdoor venues that we have here in DFW.
That we both performed at.
And if you have not checked it out, you have to go and see your favorite artist there.
It is incredible. I mean, in the fact that that's one of the things that I really love about Texas that's not going on in Miami. There's places for art and for the community of the local artists, and there is opportunities and places where people are doing art for, which is just tremendous opportunity that I didn't have. And so I was like, these people are doing this for free, putting concerts together. This is amazing. So me, I'm kind of like, I just talked to everybody, so I just went straight up and I was like, who run this? And I talked to Acacia and I was like, hey, listen, I'm from Miami, but I came really hungry. So, my energy was like, yo, this is awesome. Well, you guys are really killing it here in Texas. Like, I just got from Miami. How can I start? I want to get involved. And she told me, you have to contact Mark. So he's right there.
Yeah.
And I just straight up the next day I went to him and I was like, hey, yo, you want some Cuban cafecito?
There you go.
Knew how to butter him up.
Yep. Shout out to Mark Jokel of Create Texas. So definitely want to give a big shout out to him.
Yes.
Which we got it associated with through Mark. So that was
Correct.
another amazing thing too.
So thank you, Mark, for creating these connections and hopefully lifelong friendships.
Absolutely. Yeah, Mark was the thread. And so I did that. So, okay, let me start. I went there. And I was like, dude, I gotta show you what I do. So I just started playing my music in Spanish to him.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand it. And he had his eyes closed like this.
Aww.
And he was like, dude, that was amazing. And I'm like, yo, I have an idea, right? In my country, I used to do songwriters night. Can I do songwriter? Can you let me use your place? I will bring the artists. I'll bring the equipment. I just want to get involved. And I've always liked doing original music. As a gigging artist, you have to do a lot of covers.
Yeah.
And so it just got to the point where I was like, I want to do this for me, right, for the community. And also, I wanted to, show that I care about the community here, kind of like giving back to the artists. So it started like an open mic, but I wouldn't let just anybody in to sign up. If there was a filtration system, I would be like, this is open for any genre, anybody. It doesn't matter.
But you have to go.
But you gotta send me an email with your music. At least you gotta have something published. At least you have to at least start it somewhere, right? That was so. I always have kind of like prerequisite, and that was kind of attractive because I would say, and this is only for people that want to do original music.
There you go.
And that attracted most of the artists that I'm here. These are people that are professional musicians. They gig. I mean, the mariachis that I did, I think you guys didn't see that one. That was very successful to the Mexican night. It was very beautiful. The mariachis that I brought that night, that they brought the ballet folklorico, and they did the entire choreography with the dancers that night, they only do mariachi. They are gigging, touring mariachis all around. And they came to La Peña because the lead singer, he's a songwriter. He says, I never get to play my original music. I want to do my original music here. And I was like, dude, and you guys are tremendous musicians, right? and they were seeing me, and they were like, "Oh my god!" So this kind of, I guess you start attracting that, right?
Yeah.
So then I met Carlos Ramos, and then this and that, and then we turned into this tie, and we would do it only multicultural. We only had one concept. One then it will be the multi. Once I created the team, it was a multicultural venue. So we went to the Latino Cultural Center in Dallas. We did 3 shows there that were very, very beautiful. And we did a multicultural. We had all of us kind of like 15 to 20 minutes to share our art, and it will be like all in one place. And but then when I came over here, I was like, oh no, this is really what I was looking for. And then my idea was, I want to bring an artist, someone that I know is good, and I want to theme the night around that artist. So when I did the Mexican night was because the artist is Mexican. She's from Bolivia, but she does Mexican music. She only does Mexican music.
Yeah.
Only. And I was like, let me invite. She had already her set, right? And I was like, let me invite the mariachis. And actually, they called me and they were like, dude, we want to go because we have a new concept that we want to show you. And it's going to be amazing. I'm like, dude, I was about to hit you up. Right? And then they were like, and we have the ballet folklorico. Let me see if I remember the name. Tenochtitlan.
Ooh, oh, there you go.
Ballet folklorico.
Nice.
Yeah. They came that night, and it just turned out to be a great, great, great night. And I was like, oh, theming nice. This has some potential.
Mm-hmm.
So when I thought about the reggae, then I thought about the Spanish one. I was like, with this one, I felt something special because like this flamenco singer, he's just incredible. He's
Yeah.
just an incredible artist, and I knew it, and I knew the potential. I just needed the right people.
Yeah.
No, and the fact that you're giving these artists the platform to share their original musics and keeping that musical standard high really elevates our community as musicians and as artists. So tell us about your next La Peña so that more people can come on out and watch it. I myself will definitely be here.
Definitely.
For the next
So
one.
the next Peña is going to be in September 19th, and it's going to be a tropical fusion of all the rhythms of the Caribbean, of the islands of the Caribbean, right? So all the popular music, bachata, Cuban music, we call salsa, right? And all that good stuff, right? Like it's all gonna be mostly tributes to Cuban and Puerto Rican songwriters. Most likely, it's going to be themed around those because it's going to be Gleniel Lamusa, which is the Puerto Rican artist from Albania. We're gonna do a blend of our original music as well with that. But we want to do a tribute to our music, which is very, very similar. Puerto Rican and Cuba music is very, very similar.
Well, I can't wait to see what you've got up your sleeve.
Yeah, we have a guy that plays el requinto, right, which is the authentic guitar from Puerto Rico, and I know a lot of tres player, which is our guitar, the Cuban guitar, but they're in Miami, so let me see if I can find one here.
I know.
None of them have strong enough arms to fly over here.
Right.
I could bring them, but that would double, the resources.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I know that, if it's going to be danceable music, I know we're going to get down
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
We'll definitely be up there dancing, getting it.
Do you guys know Idania? By any chance? Idania is a Cuban artist from here.
Drummer?
Yeah.
She's
She's gonna be in the drums.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, she might. I might put in mic because she's a singer. She's a multi-instrument.
yeah.
She sings. She plays multiple instruments, but she's a drummer. Right? So it's gonna be him. It's gonna be Juan Moreno, a Venezuelan bass player. It's gonna be me in the guitar, and I'm trying to. I still got the confirmation, but I'm bringing this guy that knows how to play the requinto.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to either bring someone that knows how to play the tres, or if not, I'm gonna try to invite a violinist. Cuban music with violin sounds really nice.
Well, I'm
and
getting
as a lead,
excited.
right? As a lead instrument, I'm trying to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So make sure you save the date. What was the date one more time?
September 19th, 7:30 to
Here
9:30
at
p.m. Here
the
in the Epic Theater.
So make sure you come out. You don't want to miss it. I will definitely be there. I know Paola will definitely be there. And if y'all have any questions at all that y'all want to ask more about Alejandro, feel free to leave an email, leave a comment on our social media as well as his social media. But I do believe that you have a song for us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have a song.
But before you pick it up,
Okay.
I want you to kind of walk us through your writing process because this is
Yeah.
an original, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So kind of walk us through your process of writing music, what inspires you. You kind of talked a little bit about that, but I want you to dive in deeper and then tell us how your song came about.
Right. So I've always, like I said, since I was a very, very little, I've always been creative. I always like to learn something and then create something with it. Music was no difference. I think at the 5 year mark of me already playing the guitar, I was already, let's say I would learn a song. And so I started in church, right? Let's say I would learn this arpeggio, right? And then I learned these two chords. That I would do, okay, now I learned two songs and then I would learn two more chords and then I would, instead of doing the song, let's say it was G to E to C to D, then I would do C. And I will mix the same thing that I just learned, I will mix it for myself. And I started kind of like in that process, little by little, putting things together. So at the same time I was learning, I was always creating my own ideas. When I would get bored, let's say I would be practicing. And eventually I started, getting into poetry and reading poetry. And that's when the lyric part came in. But I really wasn't like a lyrical singer. I was just playing the guitar. And then eventually, once I started, writing, I started hanging out with songwriters. I started hanging out with people that sang their own songs. They were the one that pushing me, right? And then, little by little, I started working with my best friend in Cuba, and we wrote songs together, and we performed them, and that's kind of the journey how it started. And then, my idea was like, I wanna, keep writing songs. And then once those two things came together for me, is always the melody. Like the music is already in my head. I always, whatever it is, if I'm starting with the chords, right, like always a melody comes to my head. And then I guess through practice, through the lyrical process, I'm able to, through the syllables and the rhythms, really play with what the feeling of the song giving me, and then I write about it's really all flows to me. It's kind of like a state, and which, by the way, is my favorite. Out of everything that I do in my life, my favorite part is just being by myself and writing a song. Writing myself a song, because it's always a process of something that I have inside of me that I need to take out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a necessity like a spiritual necessity.
Yeah, I would say it's like something intimate and vulnerable that you're willing to share with others. But first you have to like process it yourself. And as musicians, I feel like we all kind of process our emotions through song, through melodies, through harmony. So I can really resonate with that. I'm sure any artist out there listening can also resonate and agree with your process.
And so this song was no different. I just bought the loop pedal because here I didn't know any musicians when I started gigging, and they didn't want to just play me and the guitar. It was going to be too much. I was doing 3 hour gigs with just you and the guitar. The voice, you're going to kill yourself. So it's always good to have a loop, and then I can solo, do a 2 minute solo, whatever. Nobody cares. Right?
Yeah.
And then I'm resting my voice in the middle of the show, right? So as a
There's
necessity,
the trick.
that's the trick.
Your hat.
Aprende que no soy eterno. And so this song came out of out of a heartbreak, right? But it was the memory of the heartbreak, because I wasn't going through the heartbreak when I wrote the song, but the song brought me to that emotion. So I was here by myself. It was December 25th when I wrote this song, and I was by myself, and it was raining, pouring, and I couldn't go out, couldn't see anybody. I missed my family. It was just the first time I had been so long alone by myself. And so, in that moment, I had just bought the pedal, and I just did the loop of the song. And the first thing that came out was aguacero, llévatela ya, take her away. That was the first thing that came out, aguacero, llévatela ya. I was trying to talk to the rain. It was very cathartic, if that's the right word, right? And it came that repeatedness. So I was like, oh my God, this is the jam. And then I started, repeating. And that's all I did that day. And I was like, this is very catchy. This is a very catchy song. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to do it in the loop, I just have to really keep the same chords. But I want to change the flow when I'm singing, right? And that's what I did. So then I wrote the verses based on that feeling, kind of like as a goodbye song to this heartbreaker feeling, right? Because most of the songs for me also they also the majority of them are my life experiences. I cannot write about something that I've never experienced or lived, right? So this song is called Aguacero. Hey guys, welcome to my home studio. Unfortunately, during the interview process, we have some technical issues and the recording of the song didn't come out as good as we wanted to. So we decided to re-record it just like we did in the interview live right here in my home studio. So for you, Aguacero. Ah. Aguacero, llévatela ya, tela ya, tela ya. No hay consuelo, la vida se me va, se me va, se me va. Aguacero, llévatela ya, tela ya, tela ya. No hay consuelo, la vida se me va. La vida se me va, no logro deshacerme de ese recuerdo de aquel amor intenso pero fugaz. Quiero pasar la página de este cuento, fue demasiado triste su final. Yo quiero la alegría brotando de mi cuerpo, quiero bailar la rabia hasta olvidar, transmutar en versos el arrepentimiento, sentir la magia de volverme a enamorar. Aguacero, llévatela ya, tela ya, tela ya. No hay consuelo, la vida se me va, se me va, se me va. Aguacero, llévatela ya, tela ya, tela ya. No hay consuelo, la vida se me va. La vida se me va, no logro deshacerme de ese recuerdo de aquel amor intenso pero fugaz. Quiero pasar la página de este cuento para vivir en paz con mi pesar. Me acompaña en la noche con su silencio y la damisela que me vio llorar. Aquella fiel a todo momento, ella se llama Soledad y dice: aguacero, llévatela ya, tela ya, tela ya. No hay consuelo, la vida se me va, se me va, se me va. Aguacero, llévatela ya, tela ya, ay, llévatela ya. No hay consuelo, no, para tanta soledad. Ay, llévatela ya, ay, llévatela ya. No hay consuelo, no. Aguacero, llévatela ya. Thank you very much, guys. And now, back to the interview.
So, if you have not yet followed him, go ahead and I'll give you permission to press pause.
Right here.
After you hear his @ one more time, where can they follow you?
Yes, it's Alejandro Terra and all the digital platforms if you guys want to listen to my original music, and then Alejandro Terra Music in my Instagram, Facebook, social media platforms.
Yeah.
Wow, incredible. Thank you again, Alejandro,
Thank
for being our first guest here at Weedy Weedy Banter. We're excited to hear more from you. We're definitely going to be there September 19th at your next La Peña performance. And once again, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here on the hot seat, taking all of our questions and answering them so beautifully and gracing us with your talents.
Absolutely. I just want to say real quick how effortless, like, you sing and you play, and just like I said, La Peña has definitely been something that I had been wanting to check out for quite some time, and then I got to do the last 2 shows, and so I was really happy to see it. It's amazing stuff. Keep it up, and hopefully you'll have a La Peña for cumbia, and then
We will.
for Tejano as well. But yes, please go follow our friend. Thank you so much for being our first interview. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.